We got a few new items. Let's make a little bit more progress on the Dirt Ninja.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Napoleon, like anyone can even know that.
Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures, where we are starting, I guess it's probably episode 2, on turning this Ninja 250 into some sort of an adventure bike, dirt bike thing for super cheap. You know, why not? Hey, I've got a KTM 690 in the background, but let's turn a Ninja 250 into a dirt bike. Because it's silly and fun, that's why. All right, let me show you the parts that I've got. This Ninja's got 16-inch tires front and back, which is just an odd size. But I was able to find this Kenda DOT, I think it's a 3.0 by 16 or something like that. And I'm gonna try that on the front. I think it's probably gonna be a little too narrow for the back, but we'll see. There's a Bridgestone Battle Axe tire. I think that's a 130 by 16. I'm considering that for the back. I really like the knobby setup on the front here, so we'll see how it looks. I dug this old skid plate out. I don't know what it's for, but we're gonna try to make that work on here. I ordered up the cheapest Supermoto front fender I could find. I think that was $15. This one looks kind of ridiculous on here. I dig it, but I think this will look better. And a friend of mine has a KLR 650 and he had put aftermarket pegs on it. So I asked him if he would give me his old pegs. So I put these on, they kind of fit. So that led me to buying the cheapest set of Amazon foot pegs. I think these were $12, something like that. And I have already fitted one to this side. Look at how dirt worthy this thing looks. Amazing. The biggest issue with these is that the pin for them is considerably smaller than the diameter here. And I'll show you what I came up with for that. And also, I don't know as if I'm gonna be able to get a cotter pin in the bottom. It's just about reaching. So there's a couple ways you could go about doing this, and I'll show you what I did for now, and we'll decide if that's gonna work. I removed the original foot peg off of this side, and you can see the difference in the size of the pins on these things. Now, I suppose you could drill this out bigger, but I was just concerned at how thin that section would be. But you would still have the full thickness of this, and maybe I could just make a bushing to fill in that spot. And this is yeah, we have all kinds of descriptive terms for that. So what I did is I found this chunk of tubing I had. I chucked it up in my drill press and I hit it with a file, little redneck lathe. And then I cut off a couple of pieces here. And these fit nicely in there. Like that and like that. And now, okay, it's still not great, but it's better. What I need to do is find another piece that's got another piece of tubing maybe. That's got a little bit more thickness, a little bit more smaller inside diameter. But that'll get us going. This fits in here pretty nicely, see? Not bad. So I'm gonna put the spring on that, and yeah, I think we'll be able to get the cotter pin in there. It's just barely poking through there. So that'll be our dirt bike foot pegs. There's our old XR 400 front fender I took off. And there is the Supermoto fender. Kind of a headlight mount thing. Here's a little crappy bracket that I built. That was just a test bracket, but you know, sometimes you make something temporary and it turns out to be permanent. This might just be what stays on here, who knows. But that looks a lot better. I can probably bend this bracket up a little bit more and get this thing sitting pretty nice. Looks like it'll clear the radiator, and that looks a lot better in my opinion. So I'll drill a couple holes. We'll see how that looks. This headlight's just what I had laying around. Maybe it'll stay on here forever. I don't know. I like the way it looks on here. It really gives it the look that I'm hoping for with this. But the issue I run into is my gauge cluster, which is bigger and bulkier than I would like. Will not fit on here very good. I could probably make a mount to set it there somehow, but then I do need to relocate the ignition switch, which is not a problem. This would be okay right here. Maybe I could put a little plexiglass windshield of some sort right here, just something small. I don't know, we'll figure that out. So possibility that'll go there. Not too concerned about it, but for now the bike will not start without this hooked up, and I don't know if that's because of the neutral light. I also have somewhere in my cabinetry over here a digital dirt bike vapor gauge set, I think is what it's called, the little small one, and that's a possibility. I could put that in here. I think it has a temp gauge on it. It doesn't have a tack. I could live without that. I have looked at taking this apart and trying to slim this down. That's another possibility. But for now, we're just not going to worry about that. Let's get this mounted up, see how it looks. While I'm rambling here, I also thought this would look pretty good on my Trail 90. I don't really care for that little, I think that's a little XR50 fender. So I think I might test fit this on here as well and maybe order another one. Well, that looks a little bit more visually appealing. I remade the bracket because the bracket I made was pretty crooked, garbage. Now I'm thinking, I mean, obviously having this thing all the way back would look the best, but if I move it forward a little bit, I could take the original gauges and I could cut this plastic off of here a bit, and maybe I could get this thing to fit up in here and still have access to this key about like that. And that wouldn't look too bad. I am still not opposed to moving that key though. Having this a little bit farther back. Of course, having access to these bolts would be great. But like I said, we'll worry about that a little bit later. So let's take a look at this skid plate next and think about what we want to do with that. We got the pipes down low, which is not a great thing on a dirt bike. But this is the frame right here. And it's got these bars that come down here that the radiator mounts to. Now, this is for the original fairing. I could take that off and make a couple of bars that come down and catch into these at the front. And then possibly make something that comes off of where the lower fairing mounts right here. Make a bar or something that comes down and catches into here. I could use these, but they're pretty flimsy. Maybe that'll just be my initial to get this thing going. I might have to cut an inch or two off the back of this thing because it's a little bit long. I'd prefer if this was farther back. So I'm going to pull these mount brackets off, take this off, take a look through my scrap metal. I think I have some flat stock. That would be pretty easy to come from here down to these, from there to here. I don't know, maybe 2-inch long. And if they're not straight, it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of trying not to modify too much of the original bike in case this plan doesn't pan out, but I also don't care a whole lot. Ninja's out here helping me with the Ninja. Yep, that's really the cat's name. Okay, here's my skid plate. I don't know as if this will be my final go round for these mounts, but Ninja, what do you think? I don't know if she likes it. And I did just use those brackets there. I think I might end up making these again, making them a little bit longer because this thing is hitting on the oil filter on the bottom, which causes it to go like that, and then it has to come up on the back. You can see it's kind of lower in the back maybe. Let me see if I can get you in there and you can see it. See it? It's hitting that bottom oil filter bolt. And then the height is different there. It's kind of higher in the front, but I think it's enough for a test. And I didn't have any flat stock like I thought I did, but what I did was I cut 2 inches off the back of this skid plate, and then I split that in half, and I made my own little flat stock. But anyway, I mean, it is solid. And I like the way it comes around here and protects the side of this radiator tube here. The water pump is tucked up in here. I probably got to take them brackets off and round them off, but that's pretty decent. So let's get this tire on, and then that'll be all the parts I have for now. There we go. Now you're starting to smell what I'm stepping in here? That looks pretty cool. And silly, but whatever. It's gonna be fun. All right, I need to order a few more things. I'm gonna research some gearing, either a larger rear sprocket or a smaller front sprocket. This engine, well, it revs to 14,000 RPMs, but it doesn't make power. Well, it doesn't make much power at all anyway. I don't know what these things are rated at, 35 horsepower maybe, but low end power is not its thing. So if I'm actually gonna ride this thing off-road, we'll probably be smoking the clutch. So I need to re-gear it a little bit. These things will go about 100 miles an hour if you can rev it out that far, and it doesn't really need to do that. So one tooth down in the front or a couple up in the back would be good. I need a rear tire, and we need to figure out instrumentation. I was looking, I got this, I don't know what you call this stuff for hanging pipes or whatever in overhead, but I was thinking if I wrap that around here and made a little standoff to push this thing forward a little bit, then I could mount that stock instrument panel up here. Of course, I could cut it as well, so I'll try all that stuff. Also look into relocating the switch. I've said it 3 times already, and when I put these bars on, it kind of interferes anyway, and then when I had to drop it down, now it interferes with the, you can maybe see there's some shavings in there. It interferes with the steering lock, which I don't really care about. So maybe that's just step number 1, but for today, we've done pretty good. I put all the parts on here that I had. We've made it 50% dirt worthy. Can always slide around with the back, but I am definitely looking forward to taking this thing out on a simple gravel road and just having fun with it and making people say, what in the world is that? So if you've stuck around this long, I first of all want to say thank you very much for watching my videos and you know, checking out what I'm doing and just having fun with me. I appreciate it more than you know. All right, if you are enjoying my content, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.